Hey, Warrior Saints. Welcome to today's Crucifixional Life stream. I am very excited to be here with you and to have you with us. In one of my favorite movies of all time, we hear this beautiful phrase, marriage is what brings us together today. It's, of course, from The Princess Bride when they're having the wedding scene. And I'm excited to talk today about marriage because marriage is such a beautiful thing. But it's interesting to me all the time whenever I am doing marriage prep or even talking to friends about their marriage planning and just getting into some of the nitty gritty about what's going on. In all of the situations, it seems like such an immense amount of time is being placed on preparation for the actual wedding. But how much preparation is being placed on and time is being put into the preparation for everything that happens right after. I almost always start our marriage prep classes here at our parish with talking about the fact that everyone prepares for the wedding, but now we're here to prepare for the marriage. Because the wedding is something that happens in one day, while the marriage is something that, God willing, will happen over the course of the rest of our lives. Unfortunately, that's not always the case, as we know, and it's interesting. While I was prepping for this today, I took a gander at a website just wanting to see what are the actual statistics at. We always hear that 50% of marriages at least are ending in divorce across the country. And I was curious if that actually is the case. And in the most unlikely of places, I found the following statistics from Cosmopolitan magazine. That's right, good old Cosmo. And they said the following: 6.1 in every 1,000 people actually get married, compared to 8.2 in the year 2000. And only 2.7 in every 1,000 people are getting divorced, compared with 4 2 decades ago. The average age of women going through their first divorce is 40, while the average age of men going through their first divorce is 27. And the average age at which Gen Zers believe they'll get married is 27. 15 months is the average engagement length, and the estimated number of unmarried partnered couples who are living together is over 8 million. Over 8 million people are believed to be partnered and living together but unmarried. It was encouraging to see that the rate of divorce seems to be going down. 4 in every 1,000 from 2.7 in every 1,000, down from 4. That's a good thing, it would seem, but it's also interesting to see that the number of people actually getting married is also going down. But what doesn't seem to be going down is the idea that we need to be together, that we need to be with other people. It was also interesting the language that Cosmo used, that it was the average age of someone's first divorce, as though there's some assumption that people are going to get divorced. And therefore, this is the average age of their first divorce, first of many divorces. I was like a little bit hit by that. But it's across the board, it seems to be clear that we need other people. And that's kind of the impetus behind whether it's marriage or at least partnering off. And to be sure, that is definitely what is intended. We hear in Genesis 1, chapter 26, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. Which is always interesting to me because it says, let us. And for Christians, Orthodox Christians specifically, we understand that us to be that God is by definition community. God is by definition plural. So in order for us to really be in the image and likeness of this God, who is by definition community, we have to live in community. And God recognizes this in chapter 2, where he says, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make a helper fit for him. We hear this in Genesis chapter 2. So he is going to bring man into the picture, and then God, who is by definition community, gives him a helper so that man can figure out how to live and live truly in the image and likeness of God, which is to live in community. Because it is community that teaches us how to get rid of our rough edges, how to figure out what really makes us tick, and how to really learn to be what we at the Warrior Saints movement call living that crucifixional life. Because we have another person that we are able to offer ourselves to completely. But I'm going to get back to that in one moment. Because it's very, very interesting that almost immediately after God says it is not good for man to be alone, we hear the following. Therefore, a man leaves his father and mother and cleaves to his wife. This word always makes me think of like a butcher cleaver, which is how you separate, how the butcher separates one part of meat from the other. Because the man is cleaved to his wife and the two become one flesh. The two become one. The two are joined together. And when Christ quotes this, he in Matthew, he actually goes on to say, and what God has brought together, let no man rent asunder. Because God is the one bringing us together, giving us to each other in marriage so that we have that community, so that we have people that we are able to live with. And in this process, we ultimately are transformed. Transformation happens in marriage, but it's a hard process because man and woman are coming from two separate places, right? Like I came from the house that I grew up in. I came from my family of origin. When my wife and I got married, she was coming from her family of origin. And now all of a sudden, we're putting ourselves together in the same 802 square foot condo. Yeah, 802 square feet. And I went from having all 802 square feet to now having 0 square feet because I give them gladly to my beautiful bride. But we're coming from two different places and now we're living together and we're figuring out what that process is going to happen. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. It's going to take a little time. And ultimately, we are transformed through that process to what the marriage ceremony itself is praying for, that we are in oneness of mind. The marriage service prays for oneness of mind. Doesn't mean that we're going to be mind readers. It's not praying that in this community somehow we're going to know all the time what the other one is thinking. Like you see those memes all the time where it's a man and a woman lying in bed and she says, like, the thought bubble goes over her head and I wonder if he's thinking about other women, and the thought bubble in his mind is talking about what he's going to eat for lunch the next day. Because we don't always understand what the complexities of what each other are thinking. We don't always fully get what is going on in the other person's head, and we always default to thinking the worst. But in this community of marriage, we're striving to be of one mind. St. Paul goes so far as to say in 2 Corinthians, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. In other words, when we're going and striving in this process, we want to be equally yoked. We want to be working towards the same goal. Because what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness? They don't go together. It's like lamb and tuna fish. Or what fellowship has light with darkness? Light and dark are automatically at odds with each other. They're opposites. So in the same way, we pray for that oneness of mind for our community so that we are leading ourselves together. We are working together and we are focused going towards the same goal. For us as Warrior Saints, that goal has only one thing in mind. We are striving to be the best actor in a supporting role in the movie of our own lives. That's right. In marriage, we want to be the best actor in a supporting role in the movie of your own life. That's my goal. That's my wife's goal. We're both striving to do that so that we're always focusing on the other. We're always working towards that with one another. But it is extremely difficult to make this happen. And it is extremely difficult. And we always want to default to easy, which is where the chaos ends up happening within marriage. When we default to easy in our marriage and we default away from striving to be the best actor in a supporting role in the movie of our own lives, and we try to be the best actor or actress in our own lives because I'm the one, I'm going to do it, I'm going to make it happen. It's not what we want. We want to focus on the other and we want to strive, but it is so hard and we're constantly fighting against that easy. We're constantly fighting against letting that chaos ensue and overcome us and then spill out into our marriage. And as we fight against that, we need some help along the way. And that's where the Warrior Saints movement comes in. Visit us, warriorsaints.org. It's over here, right there. Visit us. Go to our website. Check out what we've got to offer. And I'm going to tell you, coming very, very soon, we are going to have another new offering that is going to be focused on marriage. How are we going to put things together? Are we struggling in our relationships? Are we struggling with communication? Are we struggling with support, flexibility, understanding our partners? Do we know how we resolve conflict? And what are we doing to balance everything? We feel like we have all these balls that we're juggling up in the air, and how are we balancing it? Or maybe even a better analogy, we feel like one of those guys spinning plates on the top of a stick. How are we making it all happen? How are we dealing with in-laws? Because let's be real, in every relationship, everybody has in-laws. They're there, and they've got to be dealt with, and we've got to figure out, what are we doing? How are we making it all happen? We here at the Warrior Saints movement are going through those same struggles. We understand what you're dealing with, because we're dealing with it too. We're fighting through it too. And we want to help you by being in the fight, being in the trenches with you. Visit us at warriorsaints.org. Keep an eye out for that announcement that's coming soon about our marriage class. But before then, make sure you get on the Way of the Warrior Saint, get all of our other fabulous products, and make sure that you are fighting the chaos in your life so that you might overcome it and find yourself at a place of peace. Till we see you tomorrow, keep walking on the Way of the Warrior Saint.